Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Railmotor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly
On the Unfiltered
and Undiscovered
podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to episode 74 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We are back from the break. Now, Braggy, how are we?
Good, Curly. Back from the break, back from the brink.
Yeah, back from the break, back from the brink. I remembered the last show I said we'll take 2 weeks off, and it ended up being close to 7, I think.
Well, you know. I think
things
life gets in the way sometimes. We've both had things going on.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of those things, aren't we? So yours has probably been a little bit more exciting than mine, but
Maybe.
But we'll have a chat. But just some recent little snippets of news. The Lime Spiders played a massive show last Saturday here in Brisbane at the Cave.
Did you go?
And apparently, Siri's just gone crazy. So, apparently it was huge. And really, Mick was stoked with that, how the band went and everything.
That's
so
good.
that was good to hear. Mick Madoo's been an incredibly busy boy. I think he played in three. It might have been 3 shows in 2 states in one day. So
Wow.
that's been pretty huge. He's been supporting the Sunny Boys with Mick Madoo and the Mesmerizers, and of course Mick and Ursula have been touring with their album that's out. So incredibly busy. And in the coming weeks, we're hopeful that Mick and Ursula will come on the show. So
Yeah, that'd be
which
good
will
to get a
awesome.
return.
Jermaine are back in Australia. They played Big Sound here in Brisbane last week, but they're heading back overseas. So they're going to be one of those bands, I think, one of those wonderful bands that get acclaim overseas and are missed here in Australia. I just get that sense. So, so Jermaine have been busy. So much happening on the footy field, of course. Your Demons are out. So.
We went from favourites, and then in 2 weeks we're out.
I
know,
remember
it was
one
depressing.
podcast after they'd gone 10-0, and I remember you saying really clearly, "Who's going to beat them? Who's going to beat them?"
No, I couldn't see anyone
the
beating
Lions
them.
did.
Twice or once.
Yeah,
They just fell apart come finals time, didn't they? It was terrible. But I still have someone in the comp.
Yeah, you've still got the Redlegs and
The mighty
they're playing
Redlegs.
the grand
And
final.
they're playing-
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's Sunday. I'm not going to be there because I've got a gig, which is a bastard, but that's all right. And I think
Is it at least in a sports bar? Will the game be on telly?
I don't know whether I should watch it or avoid it and watch a replay.
You
What
won't
would you
be able
do?
to avoid it, I'd imagine.
So maybe watch it.
The score will come through somehow, I'd imagine.
Anyway,
but anyway, it's your call.
We're not going to know. When this comes out, we'll know, won't we?
So because we are going to bring the podcast out on a Monday in future. So, so while we'll be talking about the weekend games, the reality is by the time the podcast comes out, they've been played, won, and the winners.
One
have
of us
been
will be
picked,
sad.
so-
One of us will be sad, or one of us will be hungover.
Absolutely. So I'm going to share just quickly what I've been up to during the break. Of course, the two big things for me. I started a full-time contract with a company in the city, and I'm back on the commute. I'm back catching the train, working in their learning development department, and you know, to be honest, I'm enjoying it. It's good. I didn't think I would. It's been your own boss for the last 10 years, and all of a sudden having to report to someone. But my boss is pretty cool. He's a muso. So
that's good.
We have a little bit to talk about in relation to music and whatnot. So,
and
so
how
that's,
long how long is your commute, Curly?
The train takes an hour to get in.
Yep.
So
it's about the same length as a Undiscovered and Unfiltered podcast.
absolutely. So I'll be listening to it on a Monday on the way home in the train.
Which
So
is what
when it
everybody
starts
should do on
coming
their
out-
commute.
Yeah, absolutely. Tune into some absolute music. And the interesting thing, I started with them on the 25th of July, I think. And then my first week was just 3 days because I was running the Outback Marathon at Uluru.
Yes.
And that was on that weekend. So I had to take 2 days off on my very first week. And the company was pretty good with that. But the Outback Marathon completed it this year. Sharon, of course, killed it. She's a legend. And the interesting thing, Braggy, I played the Unfiltered, Undiscovered playlist on Spotify during the run because there's like 9 hours of music on that now. So, and I was going to run a bit of a competition with people to sort of think, what was that last song that was playing as I crossed the line, you know?
Oh, yeah. And who was it? Do you remember?
Well, my headphones died about 3 miles from the finish line.
Oh, no. Hey, listen, I heard the rumour that you're going to do it. I mean, that's a fantastic effort, Curly, to run that thing out there.
Yeah,
you and Sharon. But I heard a rumour that you'd got another one coming up that you're training for.
Yeah, we're heading to London, which is another little bit of a challenge. So we've got a couple of episodes that we'll be recording in the next couple of weeks to try and have some coverage for the episodes while I'm away. So I'm in London, Amsterdam, going to travel around Ireland. So if anyone's got any tips or places to go see a live band or two, nothing flash, just a little local place, put it in wherever you're watching this. Let us know. Put it in the comments because I'd love to catch a band at a corner bar in London and potentially Amsterdam. I think that'd be pretty cool. So
Yeah. And I think one of your other challenges, Curly, when you're over there, would be to get us an interview with... we haven't done anything from England.
No. Interestingly enough, Braggy, while we're talking about international artists, I've had a couple of bands from LA reach out. So
Nice.
and one's like I'm actually really excited about this one, and they're like a show band that have been playing Vegas, LA and Vegas for like 25 years.
Wow.
And I'd love to have a chat with them. It just sounds like
Like
they would be.
Do they do their own things, or is that they just cover band?
I don't know too much about them, but
Okay.
but I'll be having a catch up with them, and hopefully we'll be able to.
Yeah, that'll be
sort
fun
out
to
a
talk
time
to.
zone that can win. Yeah, that'll be great fun to talk to. So
Yeah.
all right, so that's what I've been up to. So mate, the big thing is I know what you did during the break.
Yes,
So
you do.
what have you been doing? What's been happening?
Well, before we left, I think we did a couple of little shows, podcasts about the album that I made at Agnes Water. And because the winter still drags on here, we thought it'd be a great place, like up North Queensland again, it would be a great place to launch the album. So we went up to Magnetic Island, and there was a big bunch of us that went up there. There was, all of Railmotor for one.
Yeah.
And then all of my bandmates from the Blow Up Sweethearts were up there as well. And
So
we
you
also
were-
brought with us, we also came, the Waxies band, the Crooked Halos, which features
what a
the
name.
gorgeous
The
and
Crooked
beautiful
Halos. I
Belle.
love that.
Yeah, and Belle came as well because she was on the album, as you may recall, and she came and sang with us as well, which was really good. And just a little bit of an exclusive here right at the start of the show that you don't even know, Curly. We actually gave Bellatrix, or her new name is actually Belle Kitty Railmotor. We gave her a contract with Railmotor to be on the next album. And it's a big contract. It's actually twice as much as we're paying Rob Stanier. So
Yeah, and I know how much you're paying Rob Stanier.
yeah, you've seen the checks, huh?
I've seen the checks.
Well, Kitty was quite happy. Kitty was quite happy to join the band. So that's exciting. We can't wait. So we're a 6-piece now. And
Wishka.
yeah,
So
so-
what's the Railmotor name?
Kitty Railmotor. Her middle name I think is
Railmotor.
Catherine or something like that. I can't remember how we got to it. There was a lot of big nights there on Maggie Island.
So are you going to share how much you're paying Kitty, which is twice as much?
I don't want to really share that. No,
you can't disclose that.
I don't think I should. No.
Rob does.
I mean, I didn't disclose how much we pay Rob, and he's worth. You know how much he's worth.
Yeah, every cent you pay.
He's worth his weight in paper. Yeah, so Jimmy Railmotor got the contract out and wrote it out, and Kitty signed, and she's in.
That's
so
awesome.
The next album, we'll have Kitty maybe singing out the front a little bit.
Oh wow, Wishka.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So are you happy with the album?
I am. I mean, I think there's some really good songs on there. We're not the greatest musicians, and it was done in 2 weeks, so there's a lot of things we could have done better. And there was a couple of songs that didn't make it because we probably should, if we had more time, we would have done them again. Yeah. But I think for an album in 2 weeks, I just as far as songs go, I think there's some really good songs, some different songs, and I think the surprise, like the best on ground, is definitely My Brother. I think the two main songs that he wrote on there, the Uncle song and Driving the Bruce, are two of my favourites and two of a lot of people's favourites.
Well, and so there's 14 songs on the album. How did you come up? Because I know you recorded like 18 or something, didn't you?
We did 16.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You get a better quality sound. We're going to make it a vinyl, and so the amount of music you have on there affects the quality of the sound quality on the vinyl. If you've got too much, I'm not sure. Rob knows the science behind it. If you've got too many songs on there, the sound quality goes down. So 14 was perfect time length. Yeah. And there was a couple we weren't kind of happy with, although they're two good songs, the other two, but we might either bring them out on the next one or just stick them up on Spotify at some point if we feel like it.
And it's interesting, you talk about recording the album in 2 weeks, and we know someone who's now into his third year of recording to do an EP, and I think you can go right to the nth degree in trying to get perfection on music, or just getting stuff out there that works. And I think Railmotor works. And from my point of view, I think the album's got a really good flow. I've got some questions in relation to some of the songs, so we'll go through that in a sec. But what sort of feedback have you been getting from the album?
It's been pretty good. I've made more money from this album in the 2 weeks or however month or so it's been out than I have with all the other stuff I've ever put out. So, wow. But I'm not sure if that's because the album's really, really, really good, or if that's just because there's an older age bracket that might be downloading it and paying for the download rather than just the Spotify.
Oh, okay.
So you've got to aim at that market where they, So no, look, we've had a really good response. Everyone likes it. So
yeah, and for those
and
people
some people, some of my muso friends here have said to me that picked out a couple of songs that said they really, really like it, and that means the most to me, because I know they won't. They'll tell me what's shit if it's shit or whatever. They won't blow smoke up my ass. So
yeah,
that's.
I think there's a song there for everyone. So my wife's a bit disco-y and she's got a favourite, but some of the songs aren't to her liking, and we can certainly understand that. But there's so much, like when I listen to it, Braggy, I hear so many influences. I hear some stuff where, in my words, you've borrowed some things, and that's interesting. So, but it's to me, I think the album flows. I think it's good, and I'll go through that in a sec, because I've sort of made some notes on most of the songs, and I tend to agree with you in respect of your brother's work, because you can hear. It's the CBT, isn't it?
Yeah.
that just sometimes just has this magnetic sound during a song, and you just know that's the CBT, and you can just hear it. So I tend to agree.
He's got a unique style the way he plays it too. Yeah, so yeah. Look,
So what's your favourite song on the album?
I think I really like Driving the Bruce. I like the whole feel of that song. Like I said before, like musically, there's better songs, but just that it's got that eerie, swampy vibe to it. I think if any song sounds like a unique Railmotor sound, it's that one.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty unique song. It's got that scary sort of. You've been up to North Queensland. You've driven through the cane fields on those shitty roads when it's pouring rain.
Yeah.
It's kind of spooky,
Yeah.
and that song gives off that
Marlboro
spooky feel.
Coming out of the
and it's got
doing
and that song's got a little bit of a
stretch where there's nothing.
That's it, yeah. So I really like that one, and I like Sweet Agnes, just because it just came out of nowhere, that version of it, and I think that that was one that just you capture on the day.
Yeah, yeah.
We kind of rewrote that one the day before, different, like a whole different feel to what it was, and it just worked.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good.
There's a little bit of in Sweet Agnes. I can feel the ghosts of Maggie from Blow Up Sweetheart. So
100%. Hey.
Yeah. So and you can sense that they're related. So.
Yeah, well, it's two girls' names, and it's two places, two locations.
Yeah.
So
let's go through this. So the album starts off with Shunting in the South Yard. So,
you know what's cool about that? One of the guys, the guy who played drums in the Blow Up Sweethearts, Gavin O'Brien, he used to work on the Railmotors, right? In the South Yards in Townsville, and he used to fix the rail. The Railmotor has got a big grill on the front for when cattle get on the track or something. And when they'd come back in, he was a boiler maker, so he'd have to repair the metal grill if it hit anything. I didn't find that out till I got on the island. Yeah,
because that's one of the questions that I've got. So you hear the Railmotor, the band's called Railmotor, the album's called Railmotor.
Yeah.
You've got Coal Shoveler on the album. You've got Shunting in the South Yard. So there's these constant references to trains. So where did all that come from? Like, why?
Well, I don't know. We just had a. Did you? I rode on the Railmotor. I used to go out to the Mingler Radio, and for people who listen, don't know what a Railmotor is. It's like a train that's just an engine and a carriage in one. And usually there's two of them together, one facing one way. So the train will go one way and then it'll go back the other way, like a push-me-pull-you. I just remember those times going out drinking all the way out to the Mingler Radio and then coming back on the Railmotor, and people would be freaking falling off the bloody thing. And so when we talked about it, my brother said, that's a great name for a band. And so, I don't know. And so... because
Railmotor is also the first song in the Blow Up Sweethearts album.
Yeah, but the blues. There's always a train song in the blues songs, isn't there? All the blues have got train songs, so I guess that's where it came from. And it's just another part of North Queensland.
Yeah. So that's got a real bluesy feel to me. Shunting in the South Yard. So. Number 2 song, Mangrove Woman. You can really hear the CBT in this one. It's like a screaming little child at the just overriding some of the parts of the song. So Mangrove Woman's a pretty cool song, but you get that CBT feel coming all the way through. Mm-hmm. So, and once again, an interesting song, and it starts off with that little bit of a monologue from yourself and then just kicks in. So, some of the songs, Braggy, and I don't know if you'll take this as a compliment or what, but reminds me, like a song like Mangrove Woman, Coal Shoveler, for example, they remind me of very early Kiss. Some of that early stuff that Kiss would put out.
Okay.
So, so
Oh, I'm happy with
Because I
that.
was trying to sort of say, where is this song coming from, and what is it? What is it feeling like? And I couldn't get away from Kiss, and one of the songs is actually a little bit like Hush, so I know that. You know,
See,
but
well,
anyway,
see, that's
we
all.
won't go
I've listened
there,
to
will
all
we?
that stuff. I don't mind Hush.
Yeah.
They're all right.
Absolutely.
Look,
Mama
Mangrove
Gets
Woman
Lucky.
is just Mangrove Woman is just a complete rip-off of Tony Joe's Poke Salad Annie. It's not the same chords or melody, but he's I don't know if you ever listened to that. He sings a song called Poke Salad Annie about a girl who goes to go out and pick some sort of weed they used to eat in the swamps.
Yeah.
And he tells the story at the start, so that's all that is just rip that off.
And then we get Mama Gets Lucky or Get Lucky. So walk me through the
Mama
what's
Gets
that
Lucky.
song?
Oh, well, you pretty much nailed it last time I talked to you. You said, that just sounds like your place on a Saturday night, Dave. And it pretty much is. My wife and I have not had a television now for, 12 years. So we just play music a lot. And especially on the weekends, we'll play music. So it's just about drinking wine, playing music. And sometimes it leads to what we call a disco lounge party, where we just dance around the kitchen or the lounge.
Yeah. And I visualize that so much in It's a Life, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So driving the Bruce. Let's talk about driving the Bruce. So now it's interesting the way you've described it, because the way that I sense this song, it's very much in my mind that British style of music, and once again I was trying to sort of capture a band that I thought, and there's a smidge of Robert Smith in this one, I think. So
Wow,
and
Cure.
in honesty, I picture the lead singer in a fucking trench coat up on stage singing that song, like
Okay.
a little bit like the. So it's
Someone else
to
says
me,
someone else said it was like the Doors.
yeah, it was something that sounds so familiar and so comforting, but hard to define in many ways. But you're right, it's a really foreboding sort of a song. It's driving the Bruce, and even the vocals is like a real lower key. So
Yeah.
so I enjoyed that song. Let's have a look at Disappointment Drive, mate. And once again, they follow each other in the album. Driving the Bruce, that really dark sort of a trench coat lead singer style, and then all of a sudden we shift into a little bit of upbeat rockabilly, slicked hair back styles. You've got the Stray Cats almost up there with Disappointment Drive.
Yeah, that's one that was just written on the balcony at the back of Waxy's place, out in the lab. And I think that came about because Waxy and I like the first line is, I'm 22 turning 55. So it's just like, I don't feel like I'm 55.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And such an upbeat song. It's just,
Yeah, it's an upbeat song with a bit of a dark thing.
yeah.
Happy to be
You
alive.
sort of gets the sense that you can see girls in their big florally skirts and the rockabilly's doing their thing to that particular song. So
Yeah, I never would have thought that would have made the album, that song, but it came out really good. I really like
mate,
it.
It came out brilliantly, that one.
Yeah,
I
I
like
like that one.
Uncle Song. The Uncle Song.
Yeah, that's a bit of a down song, isn't it? Yeah,
It's
it's
got
a
a
great
story.
song. So that's my brother again, and it's about our two uncles. So I come from a very old family. My father was 54 when he conceived me, and his father was 48 when he conceived him. So if you do the sums, like my grandfather was born not last century, but the one before, like in 1890 something.
1800s.
And so my dad was the youngest of 8, and so he had his two oldest brothers were in World War One. So I have uncles that were killed in World War One, which is weird. Most people, when I tell them that, they say, "You mean your granduncles?" I said, "No, they were uncles." So they were killed in World War One. That's just my brother, because a couple of years back we went into the archives and found all their records. The War Memorial sent them to us, and it's pretty good. It's just when someone's killed, they have to do a report. So it's the report on from different people who knew them who were with them when they were fighting. But the reports, there must have been such chaos. The reports are just like, I think he might have got hit by a shell, or he was there and then we didn't know where he was after that, and so we just thought, fuck, they're only 19. So I really like my brother's words in that, and I really love the way Rob produced it. He got both of us to sing it, some parts of it together. So that's pretty cool. I thought.
And
a good way to finish the first side.
Yeah, so that would have been the finish of the first side. Okay,
yeah,
because that was one of the questions. But to me, it's got a real, and once again, it's just, and understanding the topic. There's that. We've had some great songs around, the horrible topic of war. But that's got a real Goanna feel to me. That song, like a.
We were trying to do Neil Young.
Rock. Yeah, okay.
That's what we were trying to do.
That's interesting. So, to me, it's a classic Australian sort of rock war song for almost.
And a great line from my brother: "Old men talk, young men die," which is just describes war perfectly, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's just such a powerful thing to think about, that particular song. So then we kick off into the second side with Coal Shoveler. Once again, that train reference. But what is a coal shoveler?
He's the person who does the hard yards in a relationship or in a band. He's the one who makes it happen, pushes things forward, gets the coal in, so you keep going forward in whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
But
a couple of really good lines there. Got a life preserver in the fridge.
A life preserver in the pocket. And then the wine in the fridge to get you through.
Absolutely.
That line is from Waxy's wife, Fiona, if she's listening. Yeah, that's a great line. I said, how do you cope with him? She said, I got life preserver in the fridge. No, a coping mechanism in the fridge, she said. So I said, that's a song.
All right, so which leads us to what is probably I've got two very clear favourites on the album, and the next one is what I term Friday Night at Braggy's Place, because I can just picture it. This is a song called "It's a Life."
Yep.
So let's put it on, and then we can talk a little bit about it. So let's hope all this continues to work. Okay.
Front
What about Ted Mulry Gang,
right.
maybe?
Yeah, I
No?
all I get in that song, and I saw you and Yvette dancing at Agnes Water, and all I get in my head in that song
Yeah.
is you and Yvette in your lounge room, mate. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
100%. That's it.
And it's such a beautiful song because, as many of our listeners won't know, but your wife has had some quite high pressured jobs and roles, and I could just imagine. And your roles haven't been as pressured, and you're a muso. You flow with life. And I could just imagine that Friday night experience. Yvette comes home, and I could just imagine that intention that you have is just to let her ease into the weekend. And to me, I think it's just a beautiful song because I know both of you so well, and I know I think I know where it's come from. But one of the things that I do pick up on that song, and the first time I heard the chorus with "It's a life, it's the only," and I'm thinking, geez, he's borrowed that from somewhere. And because it was such a good line. And it came to me today, Talk had that song, "It's my life, don't you forget it."
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's where I've sort of...
Oh, yeah. And no, Gwen Stefani covered it, didn't she? I think.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
So,
that's
so
a great
I just
song.
thought, interesting. Great song, but once again, it's just that influences coming out.
For sure,
and
mate. Sometimes
influences.
I write something and I go, I have ripped that from somewhere, and I have to play it to everybody until someone figures out what it is.
Yeah, but that's a cracker of a song. That one, I just love that song.
That's good,
and
it's good, and it is just a
hopefully
life. You only get one go at it, Curly, eh?
Yeah, and
your life, you only get one go, so you've got to, try and have some fun.
But it's also got that hidden meaning of how the hell we're going to do it all. It's to me, it's just it's a great song. But
everyone does it in their own way. I love the way you and Sharon do it by doing these marathons and traveling the world and doing something you love and some people get stuck at home and.
I actually said to Sharon, and maybe I hope she's not listening to this bit, but I said, we should do a video clip of this. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, I could have you coming in from work and I could be playing the music really loud and dancing around, and I'll go grab a drink and I'll bring it in, and then we can finish the video with you falling asleep on the couch.
Oh, that's sweet.
And she said, don't you bloody dare. I said, okay, no worries. So it's just our little in-joke that sometimes we just get so busy and so tired that life just overwhelms us. And sometimes we get our best sleep on the couch, as I'm sure there's many listeners that feel the same way. So, all right, let's talk about Up in Queensland. Now, this has got, when I played the album with Browsy, the Big Stew, he said, I love that Up in Queensland song. And he said, what's that line? He said, what's that line? With the Queensland have got big bats and politicians that wear cowboy hats. He said, I love that line. So,
yeah, well, I mean, I'm from up there. I love Queensland, but it's kind of there's some parts of the things that happen in Queensland that I don't like, but it's not Queenslanders' fault. It's just it's the way it is. So I hope it wasn't too. I worry that sometimes I might offend someone with some of those lines, but.
No, but
it's all done
once
in
again,
jest.
it's a little bit of a piss take, is the way I took it.
It is a piss take, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a piss take.
Up in Queensland. Yeah, so once again, just a good little song. I enjoyed it. I talking about piss takes, I've listened to Mazowak's work that he's done with the Riviera Wave Riders, or the band that he plays with in Spain. And he's got a song there called The Lead Singer Syndrome. And
he's classic for taking the piss.
Yeah. So if there's ever a song to take the piss, listen to Mazowak's music, his latest stuff, because it is so good. Lead Singer Syndrome. So I love it. So Which brings me to my next favourite song on the album, and you've alluded to this one before, so let's play it and then we can talk about it. So...
I'm headed up north to the Tropic of Capricorn, a pretty little bay where my mother and father were born. The people up there are as friendly as the day is long, and I've come to realize it's the place that I belong. Every day there's a wave, the ocean is my best friend. Well, I'm never in need of a place to lay my head. There's music every night, and you know that can't be wrong. Well, I've come to realize they're the things that make me strong. Oh, sweet, sweet Agnes, I'm in love with you. 'Cause no one ever held me like you do. Sweet, sweet Agnes, you saved my life. Oh, I'm coming home to be with you tonight. Now there's grays are rambling, the folks are very warm. The Springs is the place where the waves are standing tall, and everybody's getting down on Cody's concrete floor. 'Cause the music's like the ocean's mighty roar. Oh, sweet, sweet Agnes, I'm in love with you. But no one ever held me like you do. Sweet, sweet Agnes, you saved my life. Now I'm coming home to be with you Oh, sweet, sweet Agnes, I'm in love with you. Oh, no one ever held me like you do. Sweet, sweet Agnes, you saved my life. Now I'm coming home to be with you tonight. Yeah, I'm coming home to be with you tonight.
You're listening to Braggy and Curly on the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Beautiful song. That's a Sunday session song if ever
Yeah.
I've heard one.
I'm thinking about writing a Sunday session album. Like the whole album. And just call it Railmotor
truly.
Sunday. Or maybe we call it Curly Sunday Session.
All right.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing the whole next album just acoustic.
The
What do you think of
harmonies
that?
on that's nice. The harmonies
Yeah.
on that is nice.
Well, that's
And,
Waxy,
when I played
Waxy
that-
and Bell. Yeah.
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 And when I played it for Taylor, and that little bit of gravel that comes out in your voice after hearing the high notes,
Oh, yeah?
she said, "Listen to Dave go."
Oh,
So,
I'm glad she likes it. It's good that the young people like it too. Yeah, that one's, I think that's a lot of people's favourite. It's a sweet song.
Sweet Agnes, beautiful song. And once again, if there's people at the campground, you could just hear that song on a, I love the fact you talked about Cody's. And you could just see at the caravan park at Agnes Water, that becoming a bit of a Friday afternoon or a Friday evening or a school holiday 5 o'clock session song, Sweet Agnes.
When I was up there, I was pointed, and I kind of half figured it, but it was Waxy that turned me onto it, that a lot of people go to Agnes Water to heal from something. whether it's some sort of mental trauma or physical trauma. There's a lot of people there that are healing themselves from something. So it's kind of inspired by that, you know. You saved my life. Yeah. Agnes, you saved my life, you know.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I've got so many friends that just can't go a year without visiting Agnes Water. So it's that sort of a place. You replenish, you recharge, and
that's it.
You know, there's enough to do, but there's not enough to do. If you know what I mean. You just you play it for what it's there, and you acknowledge and appreciate what it brings. And
it's a slower pace, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a different pace. But now the next song, Pop Coleman.
Yes.
Tell me about the influences in this.
That's about my pop, who moved over to Magnetic Island in about frickin' 1929 or 1930 something maybe. I could be getting that wrong.
Yeah.
And there was nothing on Magnetic Island then. And he built a house over there, and he built a boat, and they used to go out sailing. They just lived a life of like it was paradise, because he came all the way out from England and ended up there. I mean, he went to a couple other parts of Australia, but ended up there, and he built this house. And I remember going over there as a little kid, and they had birds, like you'd have black cockatoos would come down, and all sorts of menagerie, and they just lived. It was like paradise for them. They'd go swimming, and I just remember he used to drink sherry, that McWilliams sweet sherry, and he'd just sit in this old camp chair, and all his family, his wife and the daughters, they were all, you know, just look after him, you know.
And enjoy the sherry.
Yeah, the life.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Because my wife's family, when they moved to Townsville after immigrating from England, so yours is on Magnetic Island, and then my father-in-law and Mavis set up camp right at the other end, as far as away as you can in Townsville, in that Upper Ross area. So each paradise is different for everyone, isn't it? So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, he was a big naturalist sort of thing. He loved all the animals, and he collected butterflies in England. And when he came to Australia, when he went to Magnetic Island, he collected all these butterflies. I've actually got an old frame down in the shed. You might have seen it in the old podcast. You'd see it behind me. Did I have it behind? Can't remember. Anyway, he discovered it there, and there's a line in the song. He discovered that there was more butterflies, different variations of butterflies on Maggie Island than there was in the whole of England.
Wow. What about the musical influences? What inspired
of that song? I don't know. It's just a ditty, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know how that came to me. It's just a little, What do you think it sounds like?
Bee-bop-a-loo-ba, she's my baby.
Yeah, it's All our stuff is rock and roll.
Yeah, it is. I love it. But once again, it's got that familiarity around it. And it's taken me, 3 weeks or however long the album's been out to sort of say, where's that song come from? Where am I hearing that song from?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, but, you'll hear other ones as well, mate.
Oh, absolutely. And but you're doing all songs. So, and then we move into Sydney song. Now I still quite haven't got this one.
So that's the Marcus.
Yeah.
Who is my nephew.
Nephew.
Living in Sydney, and he would go on these big walks around Sydney Harbour. So it's all just little things about Sydney. So, take the 479 down to Manly, or and there's a thing about the sub there, and there's a lot of stuff about the first Australians. Dreams born under grey ghost gums. It's all little bits. If you go down around that rocks area in Sydney, it's a lot of history. And he would do these big walks, and so it's just a compilation of songs, words and phrases put together about Sydney. Yeah, and so that's all his words.
Song.
I think we're trying to do like a Midnight Oily thing or something, you know.
Yeah, lyrically, it was the contrast in lyrics was what keeps you alert in that song, because you are talking about First Nations, and then you're talking about Central Station, and then, so it is quite a riveting song, a compelling song, I guess, to to tune into. And
one interesting thing, Curly, about that song, I don't know if you picked it up, is that when we started doing it, it had that kind of got that disco beat.
yeah,
You know? It's got like the disco beat on the offbeat, the open hi-hat. And one of the guys that owned the studio late one night said, "Oh, it's got that beat, sounds like succotash, succotash." And so if you listen closely at the start of that song and in the bits in between, I'm saying succotash along with the drums. I don't know if you picked that up.
no, I haven't.
Okay, you'll hear it at the start. If you listen to it at the start, yeah, you'll hear it as the drums come in with the hi-hats. You'll hear me yelling, succotash, succotash, succotash.
Interesting. So, and now we're on to the last song on the album. This is The Chant of Jimmy Railmotor. Now,
Yes.
walk me through this one.
This is a song for all the people in the world who, all the minorities in the world who are getting beat up on by someone, and no matter what people do to you, the one thing they can't do to you is take your soul, take your ideas away from you. Like Nelson Mandela, like all those people, like Gandhi, like the poor bloody Ukrainians at the moment, or like, you know, any minority who's getting beaten up. You know, that's just a protest song, and that's why at the end of it we started saying protest singers. It's our protest song.
Nina Simone, the Clash, Brucey gets a mention. So
anyone who's
and once again, like a riveting song, because it starts almost like it starts in a guise of the chant. So you know, it's vocals. You've got vocals coming back. You got it's
We've got a choir in there.
Yeah,
the witches
it is
choir.
A choir, and then it sort of kicks into
reggae.
Reggae, it sort of kicks into this reggae style of beat. So
that came out of nowhere. That was my brother just started playing reggae at the end of it. We're like, okay, let's follow that.
Yeah, that works. So, but it works, and once again, you've got is it Bell in the
Bell actually plays the cajon in that. So plays nearly all the percussion in that song. Yeah. So, and she sings some songs.
Now, interesting, I'm going to share something with you, because I'd heard that song many times since the album's come out. And it wasn't until I was listening to it with my headphones on that I could clearly pick up the female vocals in the chant.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there is a big group of girls. We call them the witches. In the main chorus, they all came in and sung the sing back to us, and some guys as well. And then Rob did his magic on it by making us all do it about 5 times each, and then it came out like a choir.
Yeah, it's magic. And a big shout out to Rob Stanier. He's done a couple of things for the podcast as well. Once again, we've paid him those big dollars. And
absolute freaking legend, that boy.
He is, and a big shout out to Robbie Stanier. And when you're listening to this, you'll hear some of the work that he's done for the podcast. So please check him out. Absolute legend. He's done a great job with the Railmotor album, and he's got a really good, interesting business idea that many bands would actually appreciate. It's like a mobile recording process. So if that sounds in, we'll get him on one of these days hopefully before the end of the year, so we can talk through that, because I think there's a lot of merit in that. You know, the way you guys did recording at Agnes Water and produced a quality thing with it. And with Rob's expertise, I think there's a real option for bands to be able to look at maybe. Yeah,
so if you're a band listening in and you can't afford to pay the big dollars for a studio, or if you just don't want to record a studio, if you want to go somewhere like we do that's really relaxing and nice and make a holiday of it, and trying to get off some sort of vibe on the whole album, if you want to go somewhere, if you can find a room that's a decent sound, Rob, for the right money, Rob will come to you with all the stuff you need and and make an album for you. And he's
Yeah, absolutely. So congrats on the album.
Thank you.
You've been a busy boy in the last 6 or 7 weeks, playing gigs all over the
Busy
country,
having
and it's good to hear the album's been very well received, my friend. So really,
Well, thank you for
really
your
pleased
support
for
too,
you.
Curly.
It's I just get to listen, and but and maybe offline we'll talk about what I would have potentially added to Chant of Jimmy, my Railmotor.
Cool.
Sharon keeps saying, "Why would you do that for?" And I keep saying, "Because I think it's good. Because I sing little snippets on top of the song."
Awesome.
So I said they should have had me in the studio. I could have thrown that in, but
Mate,
anyway,
if we're going to do a Sunday session album, we might need to get you there somehow.
I'll have to be there.
Put something in there. And what have we got coming up in the
ladies and
future,
gentlemen,
Curly?
Yeah.
What have we got coming up in the future?
So what's happening?
Yeah.
Well, in the coming week, so as I said, the podcast, we're going to aim to get it out on a Friday at 5 o'clock. Sorry, on a Monday. At 5 o'clock. Obviously now I'm back in the 9 to 5. It's a weekend love job for me to put it all together. But by the time you're coming home, if you're on a commute, you'll be able to listen to it on a Monday. And I figured, what else happens on a Monday night? So you may as well be listening to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. But in the coming weeks, we will have a band from Sydney called Fuel to Fire, and they reached out. They've got some new songs now available on Spotify. And can I tell you, they have got a song called Balls to the Wall that if you played it, people would say that's Akadaka. It is that good.
Even the title
vocals,
sounds like it's Akadaka.
Balls to the Wall.
It's a great title.
It is it's a really good song. So Fuel to Fire will be coming up. Hopefully that'll be our next episode.
Cool.
After that, we've got our good friend Peter Ross coming back. We're talking all things Pocket Watch. So we've talked about Pocket Watch.
Yes.
The young fellas band, and I've been looking at some of their stuff, and they do a great version of New Race by Radio Birdman. So you can imagine the style of music that we're going to be talking about. So in the coming weeks we'll have that. In Fingers in the Fire, hopefully we'll have Mick and Ursula coming on the show sometime before Christmas. I am going to mention this because I've got to stay true to this. We are looking to get Dave Graney, the coolest guy in Australian music, on the podcast. He toured just recently around Australia, which sort of stopped our schedule with him a little bit, but we are hopeful that we can have a chat to Dave Graney. So we've got a couple of things. We've got Ruination from Harvey Bay. They're still in the works, but they're all fly in, fly out guys as well. So it's challenging to get them all in the room together, but that'll be happening. So we've got a bit happening in the coming weeks. I head off to London on September 28, I think. So as I said, if there's any places I should go see a cool little band. I did forget to mention I saw Eliza and the Delusionals up here in Brisbane just recently.
Yep.
And
good.
In a bigger place, we're at the zoo, I think is the place.
Mm-hmm.
They were awesome. They were really, really good. And you can just see the stagecraft of that particular band. The stage was bigger. Tex, I'm going to give you a bit of a rap here because I thought your stagecraft was really positive, and there was less, in my mind, of that social media posturing than maybe I was a bit critical of. It was just music, and it was just awesome, and they were just really, really good. I still think Eliza needs some real help with her vocals in respect of support, but by the same token, they're just about to do a coast to coast tour of the USA. So who am I to be telling them what to do? So, but that was an amazing thing. Check us out, everyone. We're now on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, and of course we're on YouTube. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, share it with other people that will enjoy it. And until next week, Braggy, good luck to the Redlegs. Hopefully they win their grand final, they win their big dance, and by the time this podcast comes out, we will have known whether they've won or they've lost. So
awesome. I might be still
everyone
drunk
for
next
tuning
week.
in.
if they win.
We shall see you all again next week. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Railmotor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly
On the Unfiltered
and Undiscovered
podcast.